all the time. I know what this looks like. Haha, Ace wasn't here to start the video, he forgot the time, he doesn't care about his viewers, but nothing, I promise you, nothing could be further from the truth. I just got caught up in my other line of work and it took longer than expected, so apologies. I haven't even showered yet, I'm so sorry. So, I wasn't able to make an intro for tonight's video. And just to make one thing clear, I am not creatively bankrupt like Disney at the moment. I just don't know how to manage my time yet. It will get better, I promise. So, without further ado, let's start today's video.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Katana Zero. It's a psychedelic, ultra-violent 2D side-scroller where you play as a hired assassin to mow down people with a katana in rapid succession. Now this sounds like the wet dream of every edgy teenager out there, but honestly, who would willingly publish an ultra-violent game in this day and age when everything needs to be squeaky clean? YouTubers won't touch this out of fear to get demonetized, so honest question, who would run that risk?
Okay, so I can't say f anymore. Whoa! Whoa, just said it! Haha! Fudge, yeah, wait, no. Stop being that never, what the poop is going on?
I love you, Nina. You're exactly what this world needs right now.
The actual studio behind this stylish rampage simulator is called ASCII Soft, and the good guys behind the name are responsible for indie titles like Tower of Heaven, which can be played online and for free, by the way. And as far as I can tell, the studio's strength lies in the ability to take simple game mechanics and then turn them on their head, which can really screw with expectations. What do you mean I'm not allowed to go left anymore? There's a saw coming after me! How am I... Oh, nobody said anything about jumping left. So, equipped with that knowledge, I expect nothing less from Katana Zero. And honestly, I needed some time to come up with a good description for the game, but I finally found it. This game is a mix between Leon the Professional, Limitless featuring Bradley Cooper, and Max Payne. The game, not the movie. The story of Katana Zero doesn't venture too far off the beaten path. There are hardly any new or revolutionary elements found, but the way they are blended together and presented is unique and very entertaining. We start in District 3 of some unknown megacity which apparently was involved in a massive war not too long ago. The main character of the game is a former veteran of that war, now turned contract killer. His favorite weapon of choice is the katana, roll credits, and also he dresses in what he calls a bathrobe. But we all know it's a samurai outfit, come on, you can't fool us. Every day, the samurai receives a mission from his handler, who is also his therapist, just roll with it. And after a little psycho session in which the samurai discusses his weird nightmares, plot point by the way, he goes out, fulfills the contract, and after that goes home to his extremely crappy apartment, drinks some tea, and goes to sleep. Our hitman works alone, and the only real help he receives comes in the form of a drug the therapist distributes before every mission. With the help of this combat stimulant, the samurai gains the ability of precognition, and it also slows his perception of time. Translation, he is able to see the effects of his actions before they take place. Result? A perfectly planned and executed assassination, since the samurai already knows every possible outcome of every possible move. And guess what? It's also a nice skill to have when playing roulette. But here's the catch. We are not talking about a Captain America super serum. The combat drug still has side effects, and if not taken day by day, causes your senses to go haywire. You might experience some time skips, for example. You don't know how you got to where you are right now, or even worse, if what you experience is a glimpse into the future, past, or if it's actually a mix between past, present, or possible future. Add this to the fact that the latest targets of the samurai are exclusively people who are creating or distributing the drug, and you can brew your very own conspiracy theory. On your way to uncover the truth, you will have to go against the government, some Russian psycho who is part of a way bigger criminal syndicate, and some rogue operatives with a personal vendetta. Oh, and there's also a little girl who shows up in front of your apartment one day and won't stop pestering you, and she kinda grows on the samurai. So you better take care of her too. And for the love of God, please take your medicine, because withdrawal is a bitch and makes following the plot a bit difficult. Gameplay-wise, Katana Zero captivates with equally simple and yet entertaining mechanics. First of all, one hit is enough to send the samurai to the grave, but the same is true for the enemies. But instead of giving you a finite amount of lives, the game simply sets you back to the beginning of the level when you fail and tells you, no, that will not work. This is actually a genius move of story and gameplay integration. Because of the drug, you don't actually fight. Think of it like different trains of thoughts. Every time you die, this particular train of thought is classified as invalid and we start again until you come up with a plan that keeps you alive and everybody else 6 feet under. Plus, during these real-time planning sessions, you are able to slow down time, dodge bullets, and even send them flying back to the sender with a simple swing of your sword. The samurai is also a combat pragmatist, meaning that he will initiate takedowns with simple household items like bottles, knives, and the occasional flamethrower. Elon Musk approves of this very much. Once you made it through a level, which means that this plan will work, you're able to watch your plan executed without slowdown effects. The result is a fast-paced slice and dice that makes you look like a total badass. But the life of our hitman isn't all about rampage. Sometimes stealth is the preferred method of approach. Some sections would even like you to not kill anybody but the target, so deception isn't off the table either. And this is actually one of the critique points I have. These different sections are here to break up the monotony of going through level after level and beating everything down that moves, and the notion is appreciated. But it is not really needed. At least in my playthrough, the slashing never got boring. In fact, I think the stealth section kinda interrupts the flow of body fluids I had going, in-game and in real life. However, there are some extra sections I really like. For example, at one point the game features a bike chase that resembles a bullet hell shooter. That one was amazing because it made me feel like John Wick with superpowers. Especially the fight against the helicopter at the end will stay right here in my vault for awesome memories. You'd be forgiven to think Katana Zero is just a simple mowed down everything game. But I urge you to look a bit deeper. The game seems to be more of a high-speed puzzle game than anything else. Granted, you need some surgical precision to get through some passages, but it's a puzzle nonetheless. In which order do I take the gangsters and mobs out? You can deflect single bullets of a rifle or gun, but if you're up against a shotgun, well, you can't repel all the bullets. Or where do I have to jump to not get hit? Or is it better to deflect the bullet or use one of the few throwables? And just maybe I can use this laser here to disintegrate some of my foes? And honestly, the best part is that your solution to the puzzle is unique. Just lend your controller to a friend and see how he's going to solve the sticky situation. I think you will either be amazed by his logic or get a good laugh out of it. I haven't even talked about the best part of Katana Zero yet. The style, the music, the neon lights, and the 80s flair. It's just so awesome. Whenever you land a hit, the screen shakes a bit and you get an extremely satisfying slash sound effect. Plus, red color gets splattered over all the walls in the background to let you know you did good. And now I'm gonna do it again. And again. And again. The pixel graphics, which I am a huge sucker for admittedly, are heartbreakingly fluent, and the design in general captures the feeling of a cyberpunk dystopia so very well. The soundtrack is top notch. In fact, I am listening to it right now as I am writing this review, and you can bet that shit goes on my player when I'm done. Like in every good project, it is the little things that make the world of Katana Zero lively and vibrant. For example, during missions you can listen in on people talking if you feel like it. None of it is useful in any way, but it is fun. There is even a subplot where some guys argue whether a thug called Strong Terry could take you out or not. Just a tidbit of info you might think. Until you kill Mook number 112 and it turns out that this Mook was Strong Terry. And now you gotta pay for it. For about 0.3 seconds, but the story doesn't end there. All throughout the game, you can hear people mourn the death of Strong Terry, and it's even announced in the news that this beloved citizen of District 3 is now living with baby Jesus in heaven. Of course, we have some dialogue options too, and even here, there's a little twist to the tried and true formula. Instead of letting people talk and then give a snappy answer, you can outright interrupt their speech with a barrage of whatever comes to the samurai's mind first. Just a warning, most of the time his thoughts will be rudeness incarnate and you will infuriate a lot of people if you do that. But sometimes it is absolutely necessary to get under people's skins. You'll see what I mean if you play it yourself. But if you do decide to be a little patient, you can actually fool people into letting them think you are a cosplayer. However, I noticed some things in Katana Zero that aren't really necessary. Like previously stated, the samurai has a ritual of drinking tea and watching TV after a mission. and you are required to go over to the kitchen, press Y for your tea, go back to the couch, press Y to watch TV. I get that the creators let you do that to create a change of pace, but damn, this is really going nowhere. Speaking of seemingly pointless things, the dialogue options are a nice touch, and when using the right option, you might discover a little more about the backstory, but the choices you make have ultimately no effect on the story whatsoever. I wouldn't bring this up, but the game makes a big fuss about a big choice you have to make in about 3 days, and when you make the choice, it's either you die and go back to the title screen, or you're able to continue the game, and by now you should be able to tell that the game defied my expectations on purpose. Again. Because we're talking about ASCII soft, and I forgot that for a moment. Also, just another hint, even though the future seeing drug makes you anticipate your foe's every move, it still doesn't mean that they can't surprise you. So needless to say, the game has just one ending, which culminates in a giant cliffhanger and leaves a lot of questions unanswered, but the screen says to be continued, so I am just hoping for part 2. While we wait for part 2 of this slashing extravaganza, you might be inclined to speedrun this game since the mode gets unlocked after your first playthrough. That and a hard mode and an alternative weapons mode you can use. One of the weapons shoots a beam of energy whenever you swing it, it's called the Sword of Masters, and yes, this is clearly a Zelda reference. And it's not the only reference you can find. Keep your eyes open and you will notice homages to many more great video games and movies. To sum it up, Katana Zero is a psychedelic, fast-paced slasher/puzzle game with a good enough story to keep you seated. While the main focus of the game lies in the presentation and simple yet effective gameplay mechanics which will screw with your expectations. In my opinion, despite the little flaws I could find, this is an indie gem you really have to check out.